At my husband's funeral, I discovered an amazing secret. He had another family and a hidden will. The funeral was a blur of black-clad figures, the scent of lilies mingling with the suffocating weight of disbelief. Emma stood at the edge of the grave, clenching her trembling hands, her heart racing with an overwhelming sense of betrayal. How was it possible that just days ago, Mark had sat at the dinner table with her, laughing, sharing dreams for their future? Here she was, preparing to bury the father of her two children, and the man who had promised her a lifetime of devotion, a lifetime that now felt like a cruel facade. As she gazed into the grave, the truth clawed at her insides. The second family, the hidden life. It seemed unimaginable. She could almost hear the whispers of doubt float around her, wrapping around her mind like a dark shroud. Late-night phone calls, hushed conversations, those had been peculiar moments she had brushed off as stress or work-related issues. But in retrospect, they took on new meaning, the details sharpening into painful clarity. Before she could inhale deeply to steady herself, an urgency stirred within her, a need to confront the turmoil brewing in her heart. Emma returned home as waves of grief collided with waves of fury. What kind of man had Mark been? And what did it mean for the life they had built? Her fingers brushed over the antique desk that had been passed down in Mark's family, a silent witness to countless memories. It was time to sift through what he had left behind. When her fingers found the hidden drawer, curiosity overrode caution. With trembling hands, she pried it open. Her pulse raced as secrets beckoned her in. Inside, folded pages revealed a will that wasn't merely a formality, but the crux of a dual life marked by the silence of betrayal. An excruciating realization sank in. Mark had created another world, another family, while she had been none the wiser. Panic surged. The very foundation of her existence was being torn apart, piece by piece. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emma's breaths quickened as the implications sank deeper. A family across the state line? Children who would call him Dad? The enormity of it threatened to engulf her. And as she struggled to catch her breath, fragmented memories invaded her thoughts. Moments that once gleamed with joy now felt insidious. The long hours at work, the way Mark's phone would buzz on the nightstand, his constant need for privacy. Anguish twisted through her like a knife, each twist blistering her heart. As she prepared for his funeral, uncertainty loomed. How could she mask this emotional tempest? The tension swirled around her, each family member and friend offering condolences, oblivious to the storm raging within her. Should she tell them the truth? What good would it bring, especially to the children who adored their father? Emma felt like a ship caught in a tempest, lost between heartache and righteous indignation. Finally, as the day approached, she steeled herself to confront his hidden family. Would they be like her, unaware, innocent? Or would they be filled with the same rage she felt? As she steadied her racing heart, one question echoed louder than the rest. Would she be able to carve out a new identity for herself and her children? Or would Mark's secrets bind her in chains of betrayal? The unknown stretched before her, dark and foreboding, challenging her desire for closure. She had to know. She had to confront the twisted web he had woven. But with every surge of determination, a wave of doubt crashed over her. The path ahead felt impossibly steep, and still, she knew she needed to take that first step. Determination coursed through Emma as she stared at the crinkled will in her hands. The ink faded at the bottom, suggesting this document had been drawn up long before his final breaths. This was her first glimpse into the life he led, a life filled with secrets and deception. It was clear that to decipher this intricate double existence, she would need to muster more than just courage. She needed strategy. Emma paced the small living room, her mind racing with possibilities. How could she ethically confront the other family? She searched for a balance between her own grief and the need for answers. The longer she delayed, the more she felt Mark's ghost lurking in each corner of the home. They once shared a looming presence of shattered dreams. There were two families now. She wouldn't let him dictate the narrative any longer. It was time to take control of her life. Before sleep would claim her, she meticulously dissected his will, seeking any clues that might lead her to this other family. The clauses appeared straightforward. The house was bequeathed to her and the children, but the financial assets hinted at more than savings accounts. Other bequests were made, the recipients unnamed, leaving Emma's gut twisted with suspicion. Who were these beneficiaries? Were they as innocent as her? Or were they complicit in Mark's betrayal? The next morning, driven by a sense of urgency, Emma scoured the internet. Her fingers danced across the keyboard as she searched Mark's name alongside the town she suspected the other family resided in. A sinking feeling gnawed at her as results filtered through the screen, a picture of him laughing. Arms around a woman and two children. Hearts next to it, spellbound time that never knew her. The image transformed her world, setting off a chain reaction of emotions that threatened to bury her. With every click, her resolve further solidified. She wasn't merely a passive observer. She had a life to reclaim, dreams to rebuild, and children to protect. During this labyrinth of deception, Emma discovered her innate capacity for gathering information, the detective she'd never known she could be. She jotted down names and addresses, her anxiety interspersed with adrenaline. Each piece of information illuminated an unfamiliar determination, a hidden competency she hadn't tapped into previously. Suddenly, a louder decision emerged. It was pressing, as palpable as the air she breathed. She had to confront this family directly. But the question loomed: how? Would she present herself as a victim, or would she emerge as a woman ready to reclaim her dignity? This arena was layered with emotional minefields, and each step felt precarious. Yet, standing still wasn't an option. The fear of Mark's betrayals being the final chapter of her life grew more intolerable with each passing moment. Emma meticulously crafted a plan. She would visit their town, observe from a distance, gather intel on the lives they led without her, an undercover investigation triggered by a wounded heart. In the messages she left unspoken and the calls never made, she sensed an internal shift. Was this the moment she transitioned from widow to warrior? As she packed a bag, the gnawing uncertainty transformed into anticipation. There was a world outside the walls of her grief. A path to rescue not only herself, but also her children from the maelstrom of lies. Stepping into the unknown, embracing what it meant to confront the other family on their turf, sealed within her a new identity, one rooted in courage, driven by the painful yet resolute desire to unearth the truth. In that moment of commitment, as she prepared to face the complex web of Mark's betrayal, a new question churned within her. Would the truth set her free or shatter the remnants of her carefully constructed life even further? Just then, a text from an unknown number dinged on her phone, sending her heart racing as she read the words that seemed to pierce through her resolve. "I know who you are, and I need to talk about Mark." An air of foreboding enveloped Emma as she stared down at the message. The words danced mockingly in her mind, amplifying her anxieties. "I know who you are, and I need to talk about Mark." The text was a double-edged sword, promising answers yet looming ominously like a storm brewing on the horizon. She hesitated, her fingers poised over the screen, considering both the source's intent and the potential ramifications of this sudden intrusion into her chaos. Taking a deep breath, she reminded herself that this was the danger she had sought, her opportunity to dive deeper, and perhaps even confront the truth of Mark's hidden life. Curiosity tugged at her. Who had sent the message? Keeping her cool would be paramount. A flurry of options swirled in her thoughts as she fought to push fear aside. Would anyone in that other family know more about the beneficiaries in his will? Or was this text a trap, a bait meant to lure her into a false sense of security? Determined to take the reins of her situation, Emma read the message again, and a thrill of defiance surged within her. This was the first shred of communication she had received since the day Mark's deceit shattered her world. She typed back cautiously, asking for more information. Moments felt like hours as she contemplated her own vulnerability. Did it reveal strength or desperation? Her thoughts drifted to her children. They relied on her now more than ever. She had to shield them from this fallout. While waiting for a response, Emma turned her attention to organizing the information she had gathered. Maps, photographs, and his online presence littered their once perfect living room. Each piece had the potential to reveal cracks in the facade Mark had maintained. She created a timeline, mapping out dates of his life that intersected with this new family, piecing together her husband's duplicity, like some grand puzzle meant to shatter her heart. Then her phone chimed, breaking her reverie. A response blinked on the screen. "Meet me at the park entrance on Oak Street." You can understand the truth. Familiar pangs of apprehension gripped her. The park was public, yet fraught with the risk of running into someone from her life. Could she truly go, knowing that every choice she made could unravel everything she built after his death? Closing her eyes, Emma steered her thoughts through the labyrinth of possibilities. This meeting could shed light on hidden aspects of Mark's life, but was she truly ready to face them? She closed her laptop and stared at the reflection in the window, an uncertain woman on the brink of discovery. And yet, something else burned within her. Fierce resolve. She would not let Mark's secrets dictate her fate any longer. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number read, "I won't wait long." Time was slipping away. The echoes of Mark's betrayal haunted her like restless spirits, pushing her forward. She grabbed her jacket, locked the door behind her, and stepped into the outside world, a realm now pulsing with risk and possibility. Each step towards the park felt as if she were shedding layers of grief and confusion. Embracing the unknown as her new ally, Emma knew deep down change was imminent. Little did she realize that this would be the first pivotal confrontation of many to come, one that could spark unforeseen outcomes not only about her late husband, but about herself as well. As the park came into view, she felt the weight of the decision pressing heavily upon her heart. Would finding the truth finally free her spirit, or lead her down a perilous path of regret? Just ahead, a figure loomed beneath the branches, assertive and expectant, waiting for the woman who was ready to fight for her own narrative. Emma's heart raced as she approached the park entrance, the figure beneath the branches gradually coming into focus. A woman, perhaps in her late 30s, stood with an expression that was both urgent and guarded. The woman's posture hinted at a mixture of determination and fear, as if she, too, was navigating uncharted waters. Emma felt a wave of recognition wash over her, though she couldn't place why. As she took a tentative step forward, doubt gnawed at her confidence. This wasn't just a meeting, it was a turning point. The knowledge that the conversation could unpack a convoluted web of lies twisted in her gut. What if I uncover something I'm not prepared to handle? The thought echoed, yet it only fueled her resolve. "Emma," the stranger said, a hint of trepidation lining her voice. "Thank you for coming." Emma shot a quick glance around the park, ensuring no one she knew was watching. "I didn't have a choice. I need to know what you know about Mark." The woman nodded, her eyes shifting momentarily to the ground. "I'm Sarah. I was part of his life in ways that might explain the secrets you've uncovered." She hesitated, then took a deep breath. "Mark was leading a double life. I thought you should know the truth." Emma's mind spiraled, grappling with the implications of those simple words. Did this woman understand the depth of the devastation she was revealing? With a determined breath, Emma urged herself to dig deeper instead of recoiling. "What do you mean? What was he hiding?" Sarah swallowed hard. He had another family, Emma, children who thought he was a great father. They only knew him as the man who loved them, just like we did. But we were living parallel lives, and I suspect he may have had plans to keep it that way no matter what. Feeling the ground shift beneath her feet, Emma closed her eyes for a moment. The validation of his betrayal surged through her. It was more than double standards. It was a calculated deception. "Why didn't you come forward sooner? Why now?" "I didn't want," Sarah's voice cracked, frustration and shame battling for dominance. "I didn't want to upset anything for you or your children. I thought time would make it easier to sort through everything." She looked intensely into Emma's eyes, the sincerity before her piercing through the fog of anger. But the longer the truth remains hidden, the more damage it can cause. Emma could feel the weight of her own emotions, anger mixed with sorrow against the backdrop of this stranger's admission. "Damage?" She echoed sharply. "You think this is about damage? You don't even know how much he has already taken from me." Meeting Sarah's gaze, she saw understanding reflecting back at her. They were both victims in this turbulent maze of lies. I came today for answers, not to blame you. I'm willing to listen. Then let us find a way to get through this together, Sarah said, her expression softening slightly. I think Mark left documents that can help you, evidence of everything he tried to keep hidden. Emma's heart quickened at the thought of tangible proof. Documents? Where? His storage unit. Their SA key, but we need to act quickly. Mark's past has started to unravel, and I fear others might want to silence what they know. The urgency in Sarah's tone escalated the stakes for Emma. Her path was now intertwined with that of a stranger, who shared the remnants of her husband's deception. This intersection prompted a new understanding. No longer was she just a grieving widow. Now she was unraveling a truth that had the potential to redefine her life and her children's future. Glancing back towards the park, Emma felt a wave of determination settle within her. Time had become precious. The uncertainty of X over Y was shifting. Okay, she finally said, her voice steadying. Let us get to work. As they turned to leave the park, Emma felt the heaviness of secrecy beginning to lift. Yet an unmistakable tension lingered in the air, one that reminded her that the ultimate truth could still shatter her world. Little did Emma know this was just the beginning of unraveling not only Mark's legacy, but also defining her resilience in the face of betrayal. But the lurking question posed a challenge that she couldn't yet foresee. Who else might have been watching from the shadows, waiting to claim their share of the hidden truth? The drive to Mark's storage facility was fraught with tension that made Emma's heart race. With every passing moment, a sense of urgency swelled within her. Sarah's revelations had ignited a flicker of hope buried under the ashes of betrayal. Tangible proof could give her the closure she so desperately craved. Yet the thought of unearthing more secrets made her pulse race. Do you have the key? Emma asked, her fingers drumming nervously on the steering wheel. Sarah nodded, grasping a small key fob, the kind that felt deceptively light against the weight of its potential. We don't have much time. If Mark's past is unraveling, it could reach those who might seek to cover it up. Determination solidified Emma's resolve. I won't let fear dictate our actions. I need to know the truth. The facility loomed ahead as they pulled into the gravel lot, an unremarkable shell holding the vestiges of Mark's double life. Each step towards the entrance felt monumental, like crossing into a new realm where the truth awaited. Emma attempted to compartmentalize the whirlwind of emotions, challenging herself to focus on the task ahead. This was more than just a hunt for documents. It was a reclamation of her agency amid the ruins of her marriage. Inside, the musty smell of forgotten memories wrapped around them, as Sarah led the way through the dimly lit aisles. Rows of boxes and old furniture lined the walls, shadows curling and shifting with every flickering overhead light. Emma's breath caught in her throat. What if we find out things we can't change? She murmured, her internal struggle clawing its way back to the surface. Then we face it together, Sarah replied, her voice steady, a stark contrast to Emma's tumultuous heart. They arrived at the designated unit, the number etched in worn paint. Emma's hands trembled as she inserted the key, turning it slowly, as if afraid of what the lock might yield. The door creaked open, and the darkness inside seemed to whisper secrets long held under wraps. Boxes were stacked haphazardly. Some bore labels that hinted at lives they once held. Help me look, Sarah urged, stepping inside to rattle a few boxes. Emma hesitated but followed, her instincts sharpening in this act of vulnerability. What would this reveal about Mark? What would it mean for her? As they sifted through the contents, Emma began to uncover remnants of a life she never knew existed, a child's drawing scrawled with crayons, half-finished toys, and photographs of a family that had shared the same laughter Mark brought home to her. Each item felt like a dagger to her heart, revealing the extent of his deception. We need to find the documents, Emma breathed, pressing through the layers of heartache. Then, amid the chaos of unfulfilled promises, she spotted a small, nondescript box tucked away in the corner. Her pulse quickened. The box seemed unusual, almost intentionally forgotten. When she pulled it out, the weight of her discovery felt monumental. Here. I think this is it, she said, lifting it with a mix of dread and exhilaration. Sarah peered closer, her eyes widening. Open it. With a deep breath, Emma took off the lid, revealing a neatly stacked collection of papers, envelopes, and a small leather-bound notebook. The contents radiated with significance, as if they held the answers to questions she hadn't yet voiced. As their hands brushed against the papers, an unfamiliar sound behind them cracked the stillness. Emma turned swiftly, alert to the possibility that they weren't alone in their quest. A shadow crossed the entrance, a figure lingering just beyond the threshold. The air thickened as both women tensed, their minds racing with the thought of what was at stake. "Who's there?" Emma called, her voice steadier than she felt. The presence remained obscured, but one thing was certain. They were not merely uncovering hidden truths. They were stepping into a battle that demanded every ounce of her newfound strength. How far would she go in pursuit of the truth? And who else might be desperate to protect their secrets? As the figure stepped closer, Emma felt the gravity of her choices and the uncertain road that lay ahead. Realizing this quest for clarity could come at a price she hadn't anticipated, the figure took a step into the dim light, revealing a man tall, with an air of authority that radiated danger. Emma's heart pounded fiercely as she braced herself, instinctively pulling Sarah closer. This wasn't just about Mark anymore. There were forces at play that threatened to engulf her. "Who are you?" Emma demanded, striving to sound bolder than she felt. The man narrowed his eyes, assessing the disarray of the storage unit, before settling on the box in Emma's hands. "I suggest you put that down." His tone was cool, each word laced with an unmistakable edge. Emma swallowed hard, feeling a strange mixture of fear and defiance wash over her. The notebook and papers felt like keys to her liberation, and she wasn't about to let them go just because some stranger commanded her to. "No," she replied. "I need to know what's in it." A small smile flickered across his lips, almost imperceptible but laced with menace. "You really think you can handle the truth? Some things are better left buried." Emma's resolve solidified. "Buried truths led to my broken marriage. I won't let fear dictate my life anymore." The man chuckled softly, the sound reminiscent of a dark omen. "It's not fear I'm talking about. It's survival." Sarah edged closer to Emma, her expression shifting from uncertainty to anger. "What do you want?" The man gestured. "I can help you navigate this situation. But you both need to walk away from what you're holding." There was desperation in his eyes, a glimpse into the underbelly of the world Emma was stepping into. A world woven with lies and deceit, where Mark's secrets rippled outward, ensnaring those around him. Emma glanced at Sarah. They had ventured deep into the wreckage of Mark's past, and now it felt as though this confrontation was the apex of her turmoil, a test she hadn't anticipated. "What do you know about this box?" "More than you think," he replied, his tone suddenly clipped. "Mark's life and yours depend on it." A chill slithered down Emma's spine. What had she stumbled upon? The implications began to swirl in her mind. A hidden will, a second family. The stakes loomed larger than she could have ever imagined. "Why should we trust you?" Emma asked, feeling both vulnerable and fierce. "Because I'm the only one who stands between you and a much darker truth," he countered. "What you're holding puts you in a perilous position. Do you really want to uncover everything?" Emma's grip tightened around the box. It represented the confrontation of her past, but also a painful possibility. Everything she thought she knew could shatter in one sweep. Yet, silence from this man might veer her toward the very betrayal she was trying to escape. Mark's legacy, perhaps, was more tangled than she dared to face. "I won't let fear decide for me," she finally said, her voice not just resolute but transformed. "I want the truth to understand what I lived through." The man's gaze shifted, casting an assessing glance at Sarah, then back to Emma. "Then brace yourself. You've only scratched the surface." A deep breath steadied Emma as she felt the weight of her decision constrict her. There would be no going back to her old life. Standing in that dusty storage unit with her heart racing, she realized she stood on the precipice of transformation, a reluctant warrior ready to confront the chaos Mark had left behind. "Let us get to it then," she replied, her tone carrying newfound strength. But as they exchanged glances, the echoes of uncertainty loomed larger, reminding Emma of the sacrifices that might lay before her. What lay ahead could dismantle the fabric of her reality, facing mobs of complicated emotions, confronting hidden aspects of her marriage, and ultimately unearth truths that might shatter more than just her perception of Mark. As she unsealed the box's hidden contents, trembling not from fear but anticipation, she wondered if her determination would be enough to confront whatever darkness awaited her. But deep within her mind loomed another question: was she prepared for the depths of betrayal she was about to uncover? Emma's fingers fumbled with the clasp of the box as the man stepped closer, his shadow cascading over her, imposing and unsettling. With a final twist, the lid gave way, unveiling a chaotic cascade of papers, photographs, and what appeared to be unsettling keepsakes. Each item breathed secrets of the life Mark had lived, one that had remained hidden from her. Sarah's gasp cut through the charged air, sharp and fragile. Emma felt a surge of responsibility. This wasn't just about her, but about revealing truths that would affect Sarah too. What they both needed was clarity. Yet here they stood on the brink of devastation, each moment threatening to expose unspeakable realities. What is all this? Sarah leaned in, her curiosity battling with her apprehension. We're about to find out, Emma responded, her voice steadier now, the fear stirring in her stomach transforming into resolve. She picked up a photograph, a family portrait with Mark standing next to a woman who wasn't her. The children's faces looked eerily familiar, echoing the features of Sarah, and Emma felt an icy realization settle over her. Who are they? Sarah murmured, her voice barely above a whisper, fear mingling with confusion. I don't know, Emma replied, a knot tightening in her throat as she pushed through the images. If Mark had been living a double life, then every moment they shared now felt tainted. But we need to find out. Emma, this isn't just a bad dream. This is Sarah's voice cracked, overwhelmed. This is unimaginable. How could he do this to us? Emma forced herself to glance at Sarah, both terrified and protective. I don't know how he could, but it's time we face this. Ignoring it won't make it go away. We owe it to ourselves to uncover the truth. The man seemed to have taken a step back, letting the two women process the enormity of the moment. Emma could feel his presence coiling around them, a predator waiting for the right moment to strike, or perhaps just a witness waiting to see how they would react. Look for any documents that might clarify this, he urged, his calm demeanor slipping into something more impatient. Time is not on your side. Mark's secrets are valuable and dangerous to more than just you. Emma's mind raced, piecing together fragments of conversations and fleeting glances. Everything about Mark had been a carefully constructed facade. But if she was truly going to meet this chaos head-on, she needed to compartmentalize her emotions. She focused, letting adrenaline sharpen her senses. Amid the photographs, she found stacks of letters tied with a fraying ribbon, their edges yellowed with age. What about these? She asked, cutting off Sarah's wild imaginings of betrayal. Personal letters, the man offered, his interest piqued. They might lead you to the answers. Emma untied the ribbon, savoring the methodical rhythm of unearthing a life that had been hidden from her. She found letters filled with affection, promises, and a sense of longing. Each stroke of the pen echoed Mark's duplicity and emotional intimacy that felt alien and devastating. The words cast a web of anger. Why would he do this? She whispered, wrestling with the knot of betrayal tightening in her chest. How could he deceive us so profoundly? He thought he could manage the risks, the man replied, a hint of sympathy cutting through his otherwise steely demeanor. But lies have a way of unraveling. Trust me, you're not the first to be caught in the crossfire. Emma's fingers trembled as she glanced back at Sarah, who was now staring wide-eyed at the profound implications of the letters. Whatever he thought he was protecting, it's now a liability, the man interjected. It's the fallout from those decisions that you must prepare to confront. Emma stared hard at the letters. The truth taunted her like a haunting melody. What if I'm not ready? She asked. His eyes locked onto hers as he stepped closer, his voice low but resolute. You already are. You just don't realize it yet. You've taken the first step by wanting the truth. Emma felt her heartbeat steady, drawing strength from the commitment she had made to confront her past. The bitter taste of betrayal would fuel her determination. Mark's secrets would no longer hold her captive. She could channel this pain into unearthing the full scope of his deceptions. As she began to read, the room shifted, an atmosphere electrified with discovery mixed with impending confrontation. Right now, decisions loomed larger than ever. The newfound clarity surged within her as she prepared to wrestle not only with Mark's ghosts, but also with the legacy of choices that would irrevocably change her and Sarah's lives. With each line she decoded, hidden competencies began to unfurl within her, an inherent strength born of necessity. Emma understood that facing these truths would demand not just her resolve, but the willingness to tear down everything she once believed. And yet, just as the last letter drew her deeper into dread, a chilling thought pierced through her mind. Was Mark's deception still alive, lurking within the shadows awaiting another victim? Would uncovering these truths lead her to freedom? Or would it expose Sarah to an even darker fate? Emma's resolve hardened. The weight of the box felt lighter, and with clarity edging out doubt, she read on, each word a step toward a future fraught with danger and the promise of liberation. Emma's fingers moved mechanically over the letters, her mind racing while her heart hammered in her chest. Each new discovery felt like a pebble dropped into a vast canyon. The echoes of her thoughts ricocheted off the walls of her uncertainty. She paused momentarily, aware that Sarah was watching her, searching for answers, yet unable to articulate the swirling confusion that mirrored Emma's own. With determination hardening her resolve, Emma pushed the unsettling sensation away. This was not just about discovering Mark's indiscretions. It was about reclaiming her life from the shadows he had cast. Empowered by the urgent need for clarity, she scanned the hastily penned notes, trying to piece together the disjointed fragments of the deceit she had unwittingly swallowed whole. What do we do next? Sarah's voice, shaky but insistent, broke through Emma's concentration. Do we confront him? Emma swallowed hard, the weight of the decision looming over her like a storm cloud. Confrontation felt like throwing gasoline onto a fire, but hiding from the truth was no longer an option. I think we need to understand more about who he was, who they were, Emma said, surprising herself with how composed she sounded. We need to find out what this other life means for us. The man who had followed them nodded, a glimmer of approval in his eyes. Research. Dig deeper. There might be more letters, receipts, or even ongoing connections. Understanding the full extent of his commitments will guide your next step. Emma let the words sink in, her throat tightening with the reality that lay ahead. Planning felt like taking control, and for the first time since she opened the box, she felt a flicker of hope igniting within her. If she was going to dismantle Mark's intricate web of lies, she needed a strategy. She couldn't do it from a place of anger or hurt. She had to approach it methodically, like a detective uncovering layers of truth. As Emma sifted through more letters, a name began to surface: Megan. An unfamiliar name that felt like a ghost. Who was she? What role did she play in Mark's life? With each mention of Megan, a knot tightened in Emma's stomach, the unresolved pieces of this unfolding puzzle setting her on edge. Let us start with social media, and any birth records for children, Emma suggested, the plan crystallizing in her mind as she worked to keep the focus on action and away from her spiraling emotions. The idea of contacting a private investigator loomed large, but she needed to see what she could uncover first. This step was hers. Can you handle the social media? Emma asked Sarah, who nodded, though the uncertainty remained etched across her face. I'll look for any official records. It might take some digging to connect the dots. The two women split their tasks, and as they worked independently, Emma immersed herself in the world that Mark had built apart from her. Each hour spent probing into what felt like a betrayal fueled her resolve to dismantle the life he had hidden. In her research, Emma stumbled upon an online forum that discussed Mark's profession, where comments hinted at a wealth of information just beneath the surface. You may find ties there, the man had said earlier, and Emma now felt the gravity of those words. As her hour grew late, the computer screen glowed bridal white, illuminating the shadows on her face. The letters, the names, the faceless photographs, they blurred together. Yet together they began to map out Mark's other reality. Suddenly, she found a photo, a party invitation dated 2 years prior. The venue looked familiar, and on the guest list was not only Mark's name but Megan's as well. The sense of validation surged within her. This was proof, a thread connecting Mark's two lives, and it emboldened her determination. But just as she began to piece together her burgeoning theory, the door creaked open, and the man stepped in. The ice in his blue eyes sparked unease. You need to be cautious, he warned, sensing the direction of her focus. Some secrets are protected fiercely. What do you mean? She asked, frustrated yet intrigued. Mark was not just a man leading two lives. He was also a player in a larger game. His cryptic tone gnawed at her. Emma pressed her lips together. She wanted to scream. She wanted to know everything. I'm done being afraid. I want to face whatever this is. The man regarded her carefully, as if weighing her resolve. Then you must be prepared for the fallout. This knowledge may put you and Sarah in danger. A pulse of adrenaline coursed through her, and the seriousness of his words loomed large. The clock was ticking, and her urgency clawed at her heart. She refused to step back now. She had tasted empowerment, and she wasn't willing to let it slip away. As her eyes locked onto his, a shocking realization dawned. Mark's deceits had woven a larger tapestry connected by someone else's intentions. But the real question remained. How far was she willing to go to uncover these truths, and at what cost? With the pieces assembled but the picture far from complete, Emma sensed an impending confrontation that could change everything she knew about herself, and those she loved. The time had come to face the unknown. What lives had Mark entwined with their own? And what perilous secrets would she uncover next? Emma's heart raced as she stared at the screen, the glow illuminating the determined set of her jaw. The man's warning echoed in her mind, a significant weight against her burgeoning resolve. There was nothing but silence as Sarah delved into social media, her instincts guiding her. Emma's attention turned back to the computer, where the invitation lay prominently displayed, marked with handwritten notes and circles highlighting Mark's connections. The unsettling realization settled within her like a tight knot, and she wondered, was there more she needed to learn about this so-called larger game? One thing was clear, she had to proceed carefully, but her eagerness to expose the truth burned fiercely. She began searching for other parties, events, or activities Mark may have attended, hoping to uncover more about Megan and their ties. Each search felt akin to peeling away layers of skin, exposing her to discomfort, but also empowering her with new understanding. It was a stark contrast to the complacency she had lived in during their marriage, where her identity had been just a reflection of Mark's life. Now she was reclaiming ownership of her knowledge, her future. As the hours turned into the early morning, Emma found herself spiraling down a rabbit hole. The online forum was rife with discussions from colleagues, boasting praise for Mark's accomplishments but also whispering about affairs, cover-ups, and questionable loyalty. A part of her felt complicit in his transgressions simply by being his wife. Another part craved to wield this information like a sword until it cut through the pretense of their life together. With a fresh wave of determination, she turned to her phone, scrolling through her contact list until she found a name. Lisa, an old friend who had once worked for a law firm. Lisa had always been an excellent resource for legal matters, and Emma hoped she might guide her through the complexities that lay ahead. After a few rings, Lisa picked up. Emma, it's been ages. How are you holding up? There was genuine warmth in her voice, but Emma felt the distance that had grown between them during her marriage. Lisa, I need your help, she said, cutting straight to the chase. This is complicated. Can we meet? Of course. Just tell me where and when. As they arranged their meeting, Emma felt a flicker of apprehension. When had reaching out for assistance become so uncomfortable? She was stepping outside her shell, forcing herself to confront not only Mark's secrets but also her dependency. The next day, they met at a cafe, and Emma shared snippets of her findings. Lisa's brow furrowed as she listened, absorbing the layered complexities. If there's another will involved, that could really shake things up. Have you found any documentation on it? Emma shook her head, a lump forming in her throat. I'm not sure where to look next. He seemed organized about hiding everything. Tracking down any financial documents, accounts, or deeds will be crucial. Lisa's tone shifted from sympathetic to focused. It'll be a way to connect the dots. As they talked, Emma realized this wasn't just about her husband's duplicity. It was about unearthing her own potential. Each discovery was a badge of honor, a mark of her tenacity. The thrill of empowerment surged with every layer of the facade she uncovered. She wasn't the same complacent woman anymore. She was a fighter, standing in the shadows of a battle she hadn't chosen but was determined to win. After their meeting, Emma returned home, each step heavier than the last. She mulled over every word exchanged, and the question of how far she was willing to go danced incessantly in her mind. She could plunge deeper into this dark web of deceit, risking everything in pursuit of the truth, but at what cost? As she sat back down at her desk, she noticed a message notification pop up on her computer screen. It was from the online forum, someone claiming to have pertinent information about Mark. Her heart raced. Was this the breakthrough she needed? Or another layer of danger yet to be unveiled? Determined to find out, Emma took a deep breath, her fingers poised above the keyboard. The next step was in her hands, and she was ready to face whatever emerged from the shadows. Would this bring her closer to uncovering the truth, or lead her down an even darker path? Emma's fingers hovered over the keyboard, her heart racing with the same mixture of anticipation and fear that had propelled her through this harrowing journey. This was an inflection point, a chance to transcend the victimhood Mark had imposed upon her. With the weight of his secrets pushing down on her, she couldn't afford to falter. Flipping the lid on the laptop, she clicked open the message. Subject: I know about Mark. Meet me at Bay Park. I have more information. You won't regret it. The simplicity of the phrasing struck her like lightning, igniting both apprehension and resolve. This was the response she'd been craving. The opportunity to plunge even deeper into the web of deceit that had entangled her life. But the risk surged forward alongside her determination. She needed to navigate this carefully. After pacing around her living room, Emma pushed the temptation aside. This can't just be about instinct, she reminded herself. Strategy is essential. She knew Bay Park held the weight of affection and betrayal. The lush trees had witnessed infinite shared moments, now tainted with Mark's dual existence. Grounded in hardened resolve, she grabbed her keys and set off, her mind a whirlwind of thoughts, questions, and what-ifs. As she pulled into the parking lot, the brisk air filled her lungs, giving her an unusual clarity. The park was serene, yet every whisper of wind seemed to mock her as she moved toward the meeting point. Just beyond an expanse of soft grass, she spotted a figure, an unfamiliar woman, clutching a stack of papers. Emma? The woman's voice was steady, nearly composed. Yes. You reached out about Mark? Yes. I'm Gwendolyn. I knew him from college. Her expression twisted into something both open and guarded. There are details you need to know, things that will clarify what you're grappling with. Emma's pulse quickened. What do you have? Gwendolyn reached forward, placing the papers between them. Mark had debts, huge debts involving both families. He thought he could maintain two lives, but it's about more than just that. He was pushing the envelope in ways I didn't realize until it was too late. Emma's throat constricted. What do you mean? He's entangled in a financing scheme, risky loans connected to questionable businesses. I believe he was trying to cover them up through multiple accounts. Gwendolyn's eyes bore into Emma's, the gravity of her words palpable. And if he didn't resolve them, they could extend beyond just money. It could involve criminal activity. The air grew heavy with her revelation, reality rearranging itself with every word. The implications staggered Emma. This wasn't just a simple case of infidelity. It was a labyrinthine plot with stakes beyond her comprehension. I can't believe it, Emma breathed, flicking through the encountered papers. Criminal activity? Blackmail? Why didn't you say anything sooner? We were estranged for a while. Deep down, I thought he seemed to have changed, regretted his past. It wasn't until after I found out about you and the children. Gwendolyn's voice trailed off. Pain sparked deep in Emma's chest. The children, they were innocent in this. What do I need to do? You need to go public with this information. Reach out to a lawyer who can protect your interests. And don't be misled. Some people might want to silence you, protect their own stakes in this. It's a lot bigger than you realize. A wave of dread washed over Emma, but it was followed by a fierce fire of determination. I won't let anyone dictate my life or my children's future any longer. I'm not backing down. Gwendolyn nodded, her expression shifting toward admiration. Then you need to gather evidence. Everything related to those loans, the finances, find what ties into this. I'm willing to help. We can deal with it inside the law. It felt surreal. This strange alliance forged from shared betrayal. As they discussed possible strategies and points of evidence, Emma felt clarity surge through her like a rallying cry. They determined concrete steps, gathering financial documents, tracing third-party connections, and scouting out any potential witnesses who could verify Mark's dealings. The weight of emotional turmoil transformed into a robust foundation of action, a palpable shift from victimhood to femme warrior. As they finished their conversation, Emma realized she was no longer linked to Mark by heartbreak or resentment. She was forging her narrative, reclaiming her identity with each pound of her heart for every betrayal and every revelation. She had emerged from the abyss, not as a broken woman, but as one who had finally recognized her strength. As they parted ways, Emma felt empowered but registered the lingering turmoil, mirroring the threads of Mark's legacy still woven tightly around her family. Yet she embraced her resolve. She could unravel this narrative. The larger game he'd been a part of wouldn't crush her spirit. Somehow, she remained anchored amidst the potential storm, finally ready to face the truth. This crusade was just the beginning, and a resurgence of confidence surged through her as she thought of her next steps. In the days that followed, as she gathered documentation and constructed a strategy, she began to understand her place in this story not just as a wife but as a mother and an advocate for her children whose future depended on her ability to confront this treachery. Emma devoted herself fully to weaving her own narrative from the fragments left by Mark, resolutely edging closer to clarity. The ambition to reclaim her life burgeoned. She wasn't simply closing a chapter, but crafting a new narrative, one profoundly intertwined with hope and resilience. In this emerging light, Emma finally felt the contours of her new path, marked by purpose and unwavering determination, a choice that promised transformation. And even though the future remained uncertain, it would undeniably belong to her. As Emma stood at the crossroads of truth and consequence, she recognized her metamorphosis from mourning to empowerment. At long last, she was ready to face whatever darkness lay ahead. The last vestiges of Mark's shadow faded into the past, leaving behind an enchanting aura of rebirth. You need to subscribe now to witness more powerful transitions and emotional journeys. This is the moment to show your support and engage with us. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these stories thriving. Comment below with your thoughts about Emma's journey and your theories for her next steps. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Empower others with the message of resilience and transformative strength.